Your bucket list is a fantasy you use to avoid living right now. Every item you add to that list is a quiet confession that you are not truly present today, that real life begins somewhere in the future, just beyond where you are standing. We were told to dream big. Write down the mountains you want to climb, the cities you want to visit, the experiences you want to collect before you die. But this list, this innocent little list, may be the very thing keeping you from actually living. Death is the one certainty in every human life, yet we spend our entire existence pretending it will not happen to us. Not today, not this year. There is always a later, a someday, a when things settle down. We live as if time is infinite when it is anything but. 2,000 years ago, Roman generals would march through the streets in a triumph, the greatest honor a soldier could receive. And walking beside that general was a servant whose only task was to whisper 3 words into his ear: memento mori, remember that you will die. The Stoics were not morbid people. They did not sit around brooding over death. They simply understood that death gives life its shape, its urgency, its meaning. Without the awareness of an ending, nothing has weight, nothing matters. Everything drifts into comfortable, endless postponement. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote in his private journal words he never intended anyone to read. He reminded himself daily that all is fleeting, that emperors and beggars alike return to dust, not to despair, but to wake up, to see clearly what actually matters. Seneca wrote to a friend, "Rehearse death. Let each day be a small, complete life in itself, not because death is coming, but because this thought, practiced daily, cuts through all the noise. It reveals what you actually value and what is simply habit and distraction." Death, when you face it honestly, becomes the most clarifying force in human experience. It does not crush meaning, it creates it. Every hour you have is finite. Every conversation, every sunrise, every quiet moment with someone you love, it is all more precious because it ends. We live in a civilization that has become extraordinarily skilled at hiding death. We remove it from our streets, our conversations, our daily awareness. Old age is concealed. Illness is private. Grief is rushed. We have built an entire culture around the pretense that death is someone else's problem. Instead of sitting with the reality of our mortality, we fill every silence. Notifications, content, noise, obligations, entertainment, all of it an endless flood designed to keep us from the one thought we most need to think. What if this is all I have? I will do it when the kids are older, when I have more money, when things slow down, when I retire. These are the sentences of a life deferred. Each one sounds responsible and reasonable, and each one quietly steals another day from the only life you have. Tomorrow is the most dangerous word in the human vocabulary. It carries the weight of every dream you have not yet begun, every conversation you have been meaning to have, every apology still waiting to be spoken. Tomorrow is where unlived lives go to disappear. The real reason we avoid thinking about death is not that it is sad. It is that if we truly faced it, we would have to stop lying to ourselves. We would have to admit that the way we are spending our days does not match what we say we value. Now here is the practice, not a thought experiment, not a philosophy class, a practice you can begin right now. Ask yourself, if today were genuinely the last day of my life, how would I see what is in front of me? What would suddenly come into focus? You probably would not check your email with the same frantic urgency. You probably would not spend 3 hours in a meeting that did not need to happen. You would touch things more slowly. You would look at people's faces a little longer. You would mean every word. The Stoics called this negative visualization. Not pessimism, but precision. When you subtract infinite tomorrows from your equation, the things that remain, The things that still feel worth doing, those are your actual values, not the values you perform for others, the ones that are truly yours. Most people discover their real priorities only in a crisis, a diagnosis, a loss, a near miss. Suddenly, the trivial falls away and something essential remains. Memento mori is the practice of arriving at that clarity without waiting for the crisis to force it upon you. Who are the people you would want beside you if today were your last? Have you told them what they mean to you? Have you been fully present with them, or are you always somewhere else, planning the next thing, replaying the last thing, anywhere but here with them? The present moment is the only place where life actually happens. Not in the memory of yesterday, not in the planning of tomorrow, here, in the texture of this breath, this light, this sound. The Stoics knew that to be fully present is the highest form of living. The point of memento mori is not to become paralyzed by death. It is to become unstuck from the procrastination of living, to stop rehearsing life and begin actually living it. The most important thing you will ever do is not on your bucket list. It is happening right now. Your bucket list keeps death at a comfortable distance. It says, I will live fully, but not yet. Not today. Someday when I have more time, more money, more courage. But that someday is a door that never quite opens, and death does not wait for your schedule. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it." He was not speaking about years. He was speaking about the 1,000 small hours we surrender without noticing, scrolling, drifting, waiting for something to begin. The word someday does not exist on any calendar. You cannot point to it. You cannot schedule it. Yet we build our entire lives around it, the trip we will take someday, the person we will become someday, the life we will finally start living someday. Someday is the thief we never see coming. The Stoics practiced something called negative visualization, deliberately imagining loss, imagining endings, not to become sad, but to become grateful. When you truly feel that this dinner could be your last, you taste it differently. When you truly feel that this conversation could be your last, you listen more deeply. Marcus Aurelius began many of his mornings with a single thought, that this day might be his last. Not in despair, not in fear, but in the quiet awareness that made every small act, a cup of water, a walk, a word spoken to a friend, feel worth doing fully. So what changes when you truly accept your own mortality, not as an idea, not as a distant event, but as a present reality woven into this very breath? Everything changes. The arguments that seemed so urgent become quiet. The beauty you walked past begins to stop you in your tracks. The small moments begin to glow. A cup of coffee held with both hands on a cold morning, your child's laughter drifting in from another room, a sunset you almost didn't notice. These are not small things. These are everything. They always were. We just needed death to remind us. You will not wish, at the end, that you had worked more hours. You will not wish you had worried more. What people who face death most clearly seem to want is simple: more time with the people they love, more presence, more of those quiet, unremarkable evenings that felt ordinary until they weren't. Here is the question memento mori asks of you. Not what do you want to do before you die? That is the bucket list speaking again. The real question is this: if this were your last ordinary day, not your last grand adventure, but this day, exactly as it is, would it be enough? Tonight, before you sleep, try this. Think of 3 things from today that you experienced but did not fully inhabit. A meal you ate while looking at your phone. A person who spoke to you while your mind was elsewhere. A moment of stillness you let pass without noticing. These are the places to return to tomorrow. Memento mori, remember that you will die, not as a curse, not as a shadow, but as the quietest, most honest invitation you will ever receive to stop postponing, to stop performing, and to finally, fully be here. You are alive right now. That is not a small thing. That is the whole thing.